This past weekend, 10 people, including 7 children, were killed in an attack while collecting drinking water. And just today, at least 20 people, some of whom were children, were reportedly killed in a chaotic surge of people at a Gaza Humanitarian Foundation distribution site in southern Gaza. Between May 27th and July 7th, the UN Human Rights Office recorded the killings of 798 Palestinian civilians, including children, desperate to find food at or near distribution sites and humanitarian convoys.
Gaza's soaring humanitarian needs must be met without drawing people into a firing line. Israel, as the occupying power, is obligated to ensure that people have food and medical supplies. But that is not happening. Instead, civilians are exposed to death and injury, forcible displacement, stripped of dignity. It is for you to draw your own conclusions. But surely we do not need to debate whether killing civilians waiting in line for life's essentials meets the responsibility to provide for civilian needs. We're awaiting the outcome of Israel's investigation into this and earlier incidents. I hope that you will also consider whether Israel's rules of engagement incorporate all feasible precautions to avoid and minimize civilian harm in all circumstances.
Since the establishment of the first GHF food distribution site on 27 May, more than 800 Palestinians have been killed and over 5,000 injured when trying to access food, their life cut short while simply trying to survive. We deplore the killing of starving civilians trying to get food and reiterate our call for transparent investigations into those incidents. The alarming frequency and scale of these incidents are wholly unacceptable.
And now give the floor to the representative of the United States.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'd like to acknowledge Undersecretary General Fletcher and Executive Director Russell's briefings. Although I would take issue with some of the characterizations in Mr. Fletcher's remarks, which pointed the finger of blame solely on Israel, with one reference to Hamas. I will also address in my remarks how refusal to work with the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is tantamount to dereliction of duty in the humanitarian space. Mr. President, before I continue, I want to state that we are aware of reports of fatalities at a Gaza Humanitarian Foundation site in Khan Yunis, and the United States mourns this loss of life. The GHF stated it confiscated weapons at the site and has credible reason to believe that elements within the crowd, armed and affiliated with Hamas, deliberately fomented the unrest. Regarding our diplomatic efforts, Israel has accepted proposed ceasefire terms. However, Hamas continues to stubbornly reject them. We would have a ceasefire today if Hamas had agreed to the proposal on the table. The responsibility for the situation in Gaza lies solely with Hamas. It is long overdue for members of this Council and the UN system to place the pressure where it belongs, on Hamas, which continues to prolong this war and hold 50 hostages, including Americans Itai Hen and Omer Nutra, in captivity. And with respect to reported fatalities or injuries of humanitarian workers as a result of IDF fire, we wish a swift recovery to those injured and offer condolences to those killed. And we recognize Israel's ongoing commitments to investigate these incidents. Mr. President, unfortunately today, we have heard many council members and aid agencies continue to defend a failed system rather than support the GHF as it delivers life-saving assistance to those in need. We would urge member states and the UN to support the GHF and stop echoing incorrect information that benefits Hamas and undermines the secure delivery of aid to civilians in Gaza. It is unconscionable that members of this council have focused on criticizing the GHF rather than condemning Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad for their continued abuse of the Palestinian civilians in Gaza. The result is an ever-growing credibility gap for the United Nations. The Security Council, member states, and the United Nations have failed to condemn Hamas's attacks against GHF personnel. Hamas has murdered innocent Palestinians and injured 2 Americans working for the GHF and attempting to feed civilians.